All right, welcome to the Vault Report, Bryant Basketball Edition. Here once again with Phil Martelli, head coach of the Bulldogs. You guys are coming off three out of your last four victories. Obviously, the big victory over FAU, almost as impressive. Obviously, you can't beat a game like that, but then to follow that up, maybe a letdown to beat a really good Howard team. I know you went on the road, lost one to a tough Xavier team, but how do you feel you are as a squad, sitting today on Thursday, 8 games into the year?
I like the direction we're going in. We're not a finished product yet, but we're not supposed to be, this early in the year. Um, but I do like our general improvement. I like the way that we're gelling, and I think that's the most important thing in this day and age, with transfers, with guys coming and going. I think the teams that you really find make the biggest jumps in late in the year are the teams that find a way to come together, bridge that gap of old guy, new guy, returning guy, new guy. So, we've made big strides in that in the last couple of weeks. And I talk a lot about just because you have older guys that have individual experience, they need to have collective experience. And we're getting that, going on the road and losing a tough game to Manhattan and then going on the road to Rutgers and then, doing what we did at FAU and then turning around and, like you said, doing it against a very good Howard team, basically on no prep, on a travel and a walkthrough. Those are collective experiences that we're starting to build and grow and, get you to tighten up as a group. And I start to see that now.
Yeah. And with that, I want to move forward. Obviously, you guys got a big weekend coming up. I want to discuss that. I want to talk about, kind of your defensive numbers, something that's been a little bit of a calling card for you guys this year that maybe hasn't been previously. But just, one more question on that FAU win, just for you and the team to have a moment like that. Obviously a defining moment for the program to beat a top 10 team, a team that's gone on since I think you woke them up as well. They've gone on and been on a tear the last week. But to have that for the guys to kind of rally around and you yourself personally, how big was that?
It's huge. I mean, it gives you the belief, and it validates some of the things that we've been working on and talking about and trying to implement. So it gives you that belief. It gives you that thing you can always go back to, like we did it against them. But it also, as I keep saying, it can't be the highlight. It can be a highlight of the season, but it can't be the highlight of the season. We need to continue to find ways to improve, continue to find ways to draw back on that experience in different environments like at Brown or all these other places we're going. We need to be able to find that and build from that. So certainly a great moment, and I'm happy for our guys. I'm happy for the university, and that. But to be honest with you, I was over it and moved on the moment I sat in that hotel room in Boca Raton that night and flipped on Howard and saw how good they were. So, you just have to keep going, good or bad, you have to keep going. And so far, this group's done a good job of that.
Absolutely. And talking about keep going, obviously a big matchup this weekend, especially within the state, back-to-back games. I think you talked about at your press conference. I know that the scheduling, I believe you credited to Mike Martin in terms of kind of having this Friday game playing at Brown. Obviously, then you have URIPC on Saturday. So just kind of build some momentum within college hoops in Rhode Island. But looking at Brown, their record I don't think is indicative of who they are. They're obviously high expectations, good team, lost a couple close ones. What have you seen from the tape? And again, a team that is similar to one that went into Bryant last year and beat you guys.
No, you're exactly right. One, Mike does get all the credit for coming up with the idea of playing on the Friday before the Providence Rhodey game. So all credit to him, and I'm appreciative of him. He's never wavered in playing. It's always been, keep the series alive. It's good for both teams, and I'm appreciative of that. But you're right. Like, their record is not. They could easily. I said it to our guys in film, today at practice. Like, they could easily be 4-4. They could very well be 5-3, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that they could be 6-2. So, they've been right there. I mean, Colgate's an NCAA tournament team, had them on the ropes at Colgate, really hard place to play. Loyola was kind of a fluke game, I think, just one of those ball rolled to the kid, he makes the shot. Like they play good defense. It's just one of those games. USC, they were right there. An interesting call followed by a technical, and then really a ball that was late after the shot clock on a sideline out of bounds desperation heave that went in that wasn't reviewed. I'm still not quite sure why they didn't review it because it looked pretty late to me. So, you start adding those games up, and then the games in the Bahamas, they were right there with Delaware, beat UMKC, and then, had chances against Ohio. So, certainly not indicative of who they are and what they're going to be, at least down the road. And, they've got some good players, man. Like Keno Lilly's, he might be as dynamic a guard as we've seen so far this year, maybe that we'll see all year. And then their front court is really rebounding the ball. And then they got wings that can play, guys that can make shots and play off of those other guys. So, we've got our hands full for sure.
Absolutely. And, I mentioned this earlier, the defensive side of the ball for you guys. What have you liked? What have you seen, in terms of, I always mention, kind of like the non-negotiables that you have on the defensive end. The ball might not be going in, but obviously you guys can control that. You guys have had spurts and games where you guys have played really, really well. What have you liked, and where do you still see this team moving in terms of what you want their calling card, to be on that side of the ball?
Well, I'd like that we have interchangeable parts. We're not super big in the front court, but I think we're big on the wings and in the backcourt. We have some good size there. Sharif Gross-Bullock's a good size wing. Earl Timberlake's playing a lot of wing. So, we have interchangeable parts. We've been able to do a bunch of different things. And to be honest with you, it's just a focus and an energy on that end that we've been really preaching and they've really bought into. And a building confidence from getting stops, and kind of building an excitement about getting stops, rather than just playing hard on that end if you made a shot the play before, but really locking into that end. And for the most part, outside of a couple of halves, we've played pretty good defense. We're not rebounding the ball great. I should say we're giving up a little bit too many offensive rebounds, which is a concern certainly for Friday. But again, back to your previous question, we did it against FAU. We were pretty good in the glass against them. So if we can do it against them, we should be able to do it against anybody. So we've had good rim protection across the board. We don't have like a monster shot blocker like all Elijah's, but Daniel Rivera, Connor Withers, Earl Timberlake, Miles Latimer, they've all kind of given us something there. And I just like our kind of our general disposition on that end. Like we have like when we've been good, like you can see a vibe, you can kind of see guys bouncing, covering for each other. And I think that goes a long way, building that trust that, hey, if I get beat a little bit here, the next guy's showing up and the next guy's showing up because he knows that next guy's coming to help him. And we've been much improved with that over the last, month or so.
Absolutely. And that kind of went into my last question. You kind of talked about it, but just, I've been impressed. You look at a guy like Rivera, you mentioned Timberlake, you guys are smaller, but I believe in Timberlake, he's guarding the five off, he's guarding the five. Rivera, who could really be a wing. Forward, yep. Could be a big guard. But Rivera specifically and Withers, two guys that are new this year, kind of in the starting lineup, important pieces. I think last year, role definition we talked about could have been an issue. How do you feel like that is developing this year in terms of people accepting their roles, but also as a staff figuring out, these are the pieces that are going to work. These are the rotations that are going to work.
Well, I think we have a pretty good basketball IQ and guys that understand, how to play the right way. We have our moments for sure, some forced shots or some plays where we could have swung the ball and didn't. But again, that's where over the last couple of weeks, kind of that gelling is coming together of guys trusting that like I can give it up here because I know it's getting back to me. But we have guys that like to play, real basketball. Earl's a high IQ, unselfish guy. Sharif, for as well as he scores it, people don't realize what a great passer he is and how much he enjoys passing. There've been a couple of these games where Rafael Pinzon's gotten going, and as he's going, making a move, Sharif's turning to me with like these wide eyes or some kind of face like Like, did you just see that? Like excited for a guy. Connor Withers, high IQ, can really make plays for guys. So, um, you know, we have that across the board. And I think they're starting to understand. We've been really preaching, our numbers off of the pass are really, really good. Our numbers when we've tried to force the issue, and we're going to be an off the bounce team, an ISO team. We have guys that are built for that at times. But when the ball is getting side to side, our numbers are way, way, way up. And they're starting to recognize that and see that. And, that's why I haven't really been worried about the offensive end. I know that's coming along at some point in time because the numbers we have of guys right now are not indicative of the offensive players they are. It's just been some of these situations we've been in, some of the teams we've played. Rutgers, obviously elite defensive team. Like those numbers, FAU the same. Like those, they're going to drag your numbers down a little bit. So, I think as we get more kind of similar competition, we'll see those numbers go up. We'll be able to get better shots. They're starting to understand where those better shots are coming from and trusting it more and more and more, that I think when it's all said and done, we'll be, our offense will be on par with our defense. And the fact is, you kind of are what you put your time into, and we've put a lot of time into defense because we had to. The defensive team that we were prior was not good enough and was not going to win in the America East. So, spend a lot of time doing that and, continuing to tinker with some things offensively and just getting those guys to believe that, hey, you can give it up, you're going to get it back at some point in time and we'll get the best shot possible because ultimately it's about us getting the best shot we need to get, not this guy getting his best shot or him getting a shot, but us getting the best shot. And I've seen that growth from them, definitely over the last month.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Coach, I appreciate the time, especially in season. I know you guys are always busy and got families as well. So thank you. And, good luck on Friday. Looking forward to the matchup, and we'll be in touch.
I appreciate it.